When people talk about the smartest players in Squid Game, the conversation usually gets messy. Some people equate survival with intelligence. Others think being ruthless automatically makes you smart. And then there are characters who are clearly intelligent in real life, but didn't necessarily apply that intelligence well inside the games. So before I rank my top 5 smartest players across seasons 1 through 3, I need to define what I mean by smart. For this list, I'm not ranking based on morality. I'm not ranking based on how much I like the character. I'm ranking based on this: which players were able to think clearly under pressure, understand how the games worked, and move strategically because they grasped how it actually took to win. That means processing information quickly, adapting on the rule shift, reading people accurately, and making decisions based on logic instead of emotion. High IQ alone doesn't guarantee survival. But in Squid Game, the players who consistently analyze situations instead of reacting emotionally are the ones who go the furthest. And some of them are underrated, some of them are controversial, and one of them is probably exactly who you would expect. So here are my top 5 smartest Squid Game players, ranked from 5 to 1. At number 5, I've got Hyunju, and I already know some people won't even have her in their top 5, but that's exactly why she belongs here. Hyunju isn't flashy, she's not a mastermind, she's not manipulating people in corners or predicting 5 moves ahead. What she does have, though, is consistent situational intelligence, and in Squid Game, that's often more valuable than raw brilliance. In Red Light Green Light, when the first player gets shot and chaos erupts, most contestants completely lose control. They panic, they run, they scream. Hyunju does what intelligent players do. She processes information. When Gihan warns everyone that they're being shot for moving, she listens and immediately adapts. That sounds simple, but some players die because they couldn't override fear with logic. She could. That ability to regulate emotion under extreme stress is one of the clearest markers of intelligence in the games. After the first round, she votes O. Morally, that's up for debate. Intellectually, though, it makes sense. Like many smarter players, she recognizes that her life outside the games is probably worse than the risk inside them. That's not blind hope, that's cold evaluation. She weighs her options and makes a calculated decision based on long-term survival probability, not short-term fear. During the pentathlon, this is where her psychological intelligence really stands out. While others spiral under pressure, she stabilizes her team. She gives words of encouragement when they need confidence. When Young Mi struggles with Nakji, Hyunju gives her a practical tip about flipping it properly. That's adaptive leadership, knowing when to teach and when to support. Then, when time starts running out and the shaman begins freezing up, Hyunju doesn't comfort her. She slaps some sense into her. That moment isn't about aggression, it's about reading what motivates different personalities. Some people need reassurances, others need shock. Hyunju understands that and does what's necessary to get results. That's the psychological awareness most players simply don't have. Before Mingle begins, she and her team carefully plan how to approach each round. That foresight matters. She isn't just reacting, she's preparing. And in moments of intense pressure, she consistently acts quickly rather than hesitating. That quick decision making is a pattern with her. Now, during the rebellion, I do agree that she was the MVP, but I'm separating skill from intelligence here. Physical competence and bravery aren't the same thing as strategic intellect, so I won't overcredit that. Where she does show clever analytical thinking, again, is in Season 3 during Hide and Seek. She figures out that the doors can be accessed by 3 different keys, which means she's observing patterns and mechanics rather than moving blindly. At the same time, she smartly hides from red players while helping Junhee and Gumja, balancing self-preservation with calculated assistance. She fights when she needs to, hides when she needs to, and reads the room constantly. All in all, Hyunju doesn't feel like the smartest player on the surface. She's not intellectually dominant. She's not controlling the game. But she consistently shows small, sharp movements of awareness, adaptability, and psychological insight. And that's why she's just at number 5. Smart, just not elite. At number 4, I got Sabyok, and this is where we start getting into a different type of intelligence. Sabyok isn't academically brilliant. She's not calculating probabilities out loud. She's not leading strategic discussions. But inside Squid Game, street intelligence is just as valuable as book intelligence, and in some cases, it's better. Before the games even begin, she pickpockets Ski-hood and steals money from him. It's simple, clean, efficient. That alone tells you she understands awareness, timing, and opportunity. She reads people quickly and acts without hesitation. That's survival instinct redefined by experience. Then we get to Red Light, Green Light. When chaos breaks out and players start getting shot, she doesn't panic. She doesn't bolt. She stays still. Her calm demeanor under extreme tension mirrors what we saw with Hyunju, but with Sabyok, feels even more natural. She doesn't need someone to tell her what to do. She observes and adjusts. After the vote to stop the games, she goes home, but when given a second opportunity, she does something subtle and very smart. She doesn't fully inhale the sleeping gas in the van. That means she stays conscious long enough to understand how the guards operate and how the transition process works. That's forward thinking. Most players accept what's happening. She resists it. Then she smuggles a knife into the dorms. That's Hughes. While others rely on alliances alone, Sabyok prepares for worst-case scenarios. She understands that at some point, survival may come down to having a weapon, and she ensures that she has one. That's perceptive intelligence. During the Dalgona game, she notices something important. The guards are melting sugar beforehand. She picks up on the clue and shares this observation with Songwoo. Then instead of choosing blindly, she follows him to the triangle shape, one of the easiest options. That decision isn't luck, it's pattern recognition. She recognizes that Songwoo likely understands what's happening and strategically aligns herself with the safer choice. She doesn't need to be the smartest person in the room, she just needs to recognize who is and adjust accordingly. Inside the dorms, she also navigates threats from Deoksu without escalating unnecessarily. She stays aware, avoids direct confrontation when possible, and keeps herself protected. That awareness, constantly scanning for danger, is another form of intelligence that often goes overlooked. In tug of war and marbles, she doesn't dominate strategically, but she doesn't make emotional mistakes either. She stays steady. She doesn't let panic cloud her decisions. Then we have the glass bridge. Like Songwoo, she chooses a lower number instead of a middle one. That shows instinctual probability thinking. Middle numbers carry the highest uncertainty. Too early to gain information, too late to avoid risk. By picking a lower number, she ensures she won't be stuck in the most psychologically crushing position. That's trusting instinct backed by logic. And finally, on her last night, when she knows she's mortally wounded, she makes one final intelligent move. She secures her brother's future. She asks Gi-hun to take care of him. Even in her final moments, she's thinking long-term and strategically about outcomes beyond the game. That's clarity under fatal pressure. Sabyok isn't flashy, she isn't loud, she doesn't monologue about strategy. But she constantly reads situations, anticipates threats, prepares quietly, and trusts her instincts, and more often than not, those instincts are right. She's not book smart, she's survival smart. And inside Squid Game, that makes her the fourth smartest player. At number 3, I've got Im Jong-dae, and yeah, I know this is the one people are going to argue about, because nobody liked Player 100, but this list isn't about likability, it's about intelligence inside the games, and when you look at how he navigated the system, it's hard to deny how effective he was. In Red Light Green Light, just like Hyunju, he listens to Gi-hun's warning and stays still, but he goes one step further. He positions himself behind a larger player, using their body as partial cover. That's subtle, but it shows spatial awareness. He's not just reacting, he's optimizing his odds. Where Player 100 really separates himself, though, is during the votes. He becomes one of the strongest and most persuasive voices in the room. His communication style is loud, well-spoken, and diplomatic. He doesn't yell emotionally. He frames continuing the games as logical, even beneficial, and that persuasion matters. Without his influence, the vote outcomes in Season 2 could have easily swung the other way. That's social intelligence at work. During Mingle, he makes sure he's never isolated. He always has numbers. He gets into rooms quickly and doesn't hesitate to push others out if it means survival, like when Daeho and the other main characters try to enter and he immediately reacts to remove them. That's fast decision making under pressure. No freezing, no moral hesitation, just calculation. Before the special game in the rebellion, he recognizes something important. The ex-voters temporarily have a structural advantage. Instead of ignoring it, he strategizes with the O's to attack first. This shows he understands power dynamics. He's constantly reading which side has leverage. Then in Season 3, during Hide and Seek, he adapts again. He figures out that there are multiple keys and matching keyholes, same realization as some of the sharper players like Hyunju. But when faced with danger, he doesn't hesitate to sacrifice another blue player to increase his own survival chances. Ruthless? Absolutely. But from a pure survival logic standpoint, that's decisive thinking. He even locates the exit, with assistance from the shaman, and ensures he's the only one who makes it out. That decision leads to her death and increases the prize pool in his favor. Morally bankrupt? Yes. Strategically consistent? Also yes. In Jump Rope, he lets others go first. That's risk minimization. Why test an unknown mechanic yourself when you can gather data from others' attempts? And in the final game, he leans heavily on his strongest trait, negotiation. He uses communication and persuasion to try to keep the O's intact and maintain numbers. Even on the second pillar, when facing Gi-hun and Myung-gi, he chooses not to fight because he knows physically he would lose. Instead, he tries to talk his way out of death. That's self-awareness. He understands his strengths and weaknesses. He knows he's not the strongest. He knows he's not the fastest. So he weaponizes his voice. Now yes, Myung-gi ultimately kills him, but dying doesn't erase the intelligence displayed before that moment. Im Jong-dae may be one of the most hated characters across the seasons, but he consistently used persuasion, positioning, risk assessment, and social manipulation to survive far longer than most. He didn't rely on strength, he relied on influence. In a game built on shifting alliances and votes, that's a dangerous kind of intelligence, and that's why he's number 3. At number 2, I've got Myung-gi, and honestly, from seasons 2 to 3, he might be the most consistently intelligent player in the entire cast. Even before the games begin, you see how his mind works. Outside the games, he avoids calling his ex, Junhee, not because he doesn't care, but because he knows contacting her would only hurt her further. That's emotional awareness and restraint. He understands consequences before acting. That's when the players are first abducted. He immediately asks who took his phone. That might seem small, but it shows situational awareness. While most people are confused or panicking, he's already cataloging what's missing and assessing the situation logically. In Red Light Green Light, he does what the smarter players do. He listens to Gi-hun and stays still. But like player 100, he optimizes his survival. He lines up behind other players for partial cover and even crosses his arms tightly to minimize accidental movement. That level of physical control under stress shows both discipline and foresight. After the vote, he chooses to continue the games because he understands his life outside is worse. Again, it's not emotion, it's probability. During the pentathlon, when Junhee refuses to team with him, he doesn't spiral emotionally. He adapts. He finds capable teammates he knows he can function with. That's something a lot of players fail to do, separating personal feelings from survival strategy. Then in Mingle, his intelligence really shows in multitasking. He ensures Junhee is safe before securing a room for himself. He's processing two survival variables at once, his own position and hers. He reacts quickly, saves her multiple times, and by the final round, he's already internalized how the game functions. Once he understands a mechanic, it becomes repetition for him. Learn, apply, optimize. In the bathroom confrontation, he brings a fork because he anticipates violence. That's preemptive thinking. When nearly choked to death, he uses it decisively against Thanos. It's brutal, but it shows that he doesn't hesitate when survival requires action. He also listens to Junhee's advice about hiding at night and chooses not to join the rebellion. That's critical. While others get swept up in emotion and heroism, he calculates risk. The rebellion was high risk with low probability of success, and he opts out. During hide and seek, he quickly realizes he and Junhee should switch vests to improve their odds. That's game theory in action, maximizing combined survival probability. He also makes a smart decision to team up with Namgyu, recognizing that collaboration increases efficiency. Then he makes one of the sharpest inferences in the season, realizing they need simultaneous kills, and that the structure of the game for him and Namgyu implies 2 eliminations are necessary. That level of pattern recognition is rare. He's not just reacting, he's analyzing the rule system itself. In Jump Rope, he hesitates and lets others go first, partially because of Junhee, but also because gathering information reduces risk. And when she pushes him away, he's one of the last people on the bridge, giving him more time and fewer bodies in his way. During the final vote, he switches to O because he understands political optics. If he votes X again, he paints a target on himself in the final game. That's long-term positioning. And then in the final game, his manipulation skills reach their peak. He understands the O should eliminate Minsu early. He identifies how to use the pole effectively. On second pillar, he devises a strong tactical plan, and when it starts collapsing, he makes a cold but calculated move by pushing player 336 to ensure at least one elimination. That action stabilizes the numbers and puts him and Gi-hun on the same side with weapons. He even plans ahead with sacrificing the lunchbox, which is why eliminating player 100 actually made sense from his perspective. It wasn't random aggression, it was resource consolidation. During his final conversation with Gi-hun, he uses the baby as leverage, morally indefensible, but strategically aware. The problem isn't that he lacked intelligence in the end, it's that he was too emotionally and physiologically deteriorated to apply it cleanly. And that's the difference between him and number 1. Myung-Yu was the smartest character across seasons 2 and 3. His survival instincts were elite, his adaptability was constant, his IQ level pattern recognition was obvious. He echoes the type of intelligence we see in the smartest player on this list, but unlike that player, he couldn't fully grasp the reality of his situation, and that's why he's number 2. But at number 1, it has to be Cho Sang-woo. And honestly, if we're defining intelligence as this ability to understand how the games work and make the most optimal decisions under pressure, no one does it better. Like Myung-gi, Sang-woo is immediately suspicious of the anonymous organization running everything. His mind naturally questions systems. He doesn't just accept what's happening, he analyzes it. In Red Light Green Line, when players start getting shot, he doesn't panic, he hesitates. Not out of fear, but to process. He's thinking. He figures out that the doll's eyes are motion tracking sensors, which is why he positions himself behind other players. That spatial awareness and mechanical deduction are huge. It's also why Gi-hun understood as much as he did later on. Sang-woo was often the one interpreting the mechanics first. During the vote, he chooses to continue. Again, not emotionally, logically. He understands that his life outside the games is collapsing. From a cost-benefit standpoint, the risk inside the arena makes sense. Then we get to Dalgona, and this is where his IQ really flashes. Before the game even starts, he secures information from Sabyok that the guards were melting sugar. That detail sits in his mind. When he sees the shapes on the wall, it clicks instantly. He connects sugar, childhood games, and the shapes, and deduces that the games will be Dalgona. That's rapid pattern recognition. Then he chooses the triangle, the easiest shape, and survives comfortably. He doesn't warn the others, which is morally questionable, but strategically consistent. He prioritizes survival. And let's not ignore something Gi-hun constantly reminds us of. He graduated from Seoul National University. Growing up under financial pressure and still reaching one of the top business schools in Korea shows baseline academic intelligence before the games even start. He's not just street smart, he's formally brilliant. Before Tug of War, he realizes something practical. The team needs physical strength. He pushes for a team composition that maximizes odds for a strength-based game, and he's right. Then during the match, he makes the crucial call to take 3 coordinated steps forward, disrupting the opposing team's balance and securing victory. That's applied strategic thinking in real time. Before marbles, he intentionally teams up with Ollie because he recognizes Ollie's physical strength and capabilities. But once he realizes they must compete and that he's losing, he pivots instantly. Instead of trying to win fairly, he switches to psychological warfare. He manipulates Ollie's trust and secures all 20 marbles without needing to outplay him mechanically. It's heartbreaking, it's ruthless, but it's undeniably smart. Before Glass Bridge, he chooses a lower number. Just like Myungi later in Hide and Seek, he trusts probability. He understands that middle numbers are the best. Too early to gain full information, too late to avoid heavy risk. His inference is correct. And then time starts running out, and the glassmaker stalls to analyze the panels. Songwoo makes another cold but logical decision. He pushes him. Without that move, none of them finish in time. He recognizes that hesitation equals death. Then comes one of the most controversial decisions, killing Sabyok. He understands something Gi-hun doesn't want to admit. If they vote to leave with 3 players alive, the 3 walk away with no money. He knows Gi-hun and Sabyok are likely to choose to end the game, so he removes the variable. Cold, calculated, strategically airtight. By the time we reach the final game, he's exhausted and mentally fractured. Gi-hun is emotionally locked in after witnessing Sabyok's death. Songwoo fights well, but his psychological tide has turned, and then he makes one final intelligent decision. He kills himself, not out of surrender, but to ensure the prize money goes to Gi-hun and ultimately to his mother. Even in defeat, he calculates the outcome that benefits his family most. That's long-term thinking to the very end. Gi-hun may have defeated both Songwoo and Myungi in their respective seasons, but if we're being honest, Gi-hun benefited from timing, luck, and the emotional collapses of the smarter men around him. Songwoo didn't survive because he was lucky. He survived because he understood the game faster than everyone else, and he was willing to act on that understanding without hesitation. Academically elite, strategically ruthless, emotionally suppressed until the very end. That's why Songwoo is the smartest player across Squid Games, Seasons 1 through 3. So when you really break it down, intelligence in Squid Game isn't about who survived the longest. It's about who understood the system the fastest, and who was willing to act on that understanding. Hyunju showed controlled, situational intelligence. Sabyok mastered survival through awareness and instinct. Im Jong-dae weaponized persuasion and influence. Myung-hee combined high IQ and adaptability and rapid pattern recognition. But Songwoo stands at the top because he constantly analyzed the mechanics of each game before anyone else did, and he made the optimal move almost every single time, no matter how cold it was. That's the difference. A lot of players were smart, very few were strategically elite, and even fewer were willing to follow logic all the way through. Now obviously, this is my ranking. Intelligence can be defined differently depending on what you value. Morality, survival, leadership, emotional control. But if we're talking pure analytical thinking under pressure, this is the list, and that's the video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, drop a comment with your top 5 smartest players. I already know someone's gonna argue about player 100. Like the video if you enjoyed the analytical Squid Game content, and subscribe if you want more analysis on the show or other shows that y'all like to see. I appreciate you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.